I'd like to call the McLeod County Board of Commissioners, August 18th, 2026 meeting to order. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Again, good morning, everyone. We'll start with the consideration of agenda items. Any additions or corrections?
No changes, Mr. Chair.
Board's wishes.
I can move agenda, Mr. Chair.
Motion made by Commissioner Schmalz on the agenda items. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Commissioner Chaska. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Consent agenda.
No changes, Mr. Chair.
Board's wishes. Motion made by Commissioner Wright to approve the consent agenda. Is there a second? Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Chaska. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. McLeod for tomorrow. Meg? Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Meg Schlitter. I'm the program coordinator for McLeod for tomorrow, and I'm joined here with newly elected board chair Andrea McKee, our secretary, which is Lisa Walmarsh, and the board member Justin O'Brien, who was recently elected our treasurer. So I'm surrounded by our elected directors. And we just wanted to thank McLeod County for the continued support of our organization. When McLeod for Tomorrow started in 2007, it was a completely county-funded program. At this time, the county funding represents about 30% of our budget. We are working on additional income streams and continue to try. Thank you. Continued to try to create opportunities for us to generate funding on our own as well. Each year, we've had nearly a full cohort, if not a full cohort, in my 5 years of attendance. And this year, we actually had 3 extra applicants that we had to turn down for attendance this year. So the demand for our program is continuing to be strong throughout the county. And that is through representation across multiple different businesses, organizations, industries, and demographics across our county. So it's exciting to see the new changes. We have been partnered with Meeker and Motion, who is the comparable version of us in Meeker County, since this will be the 4th year of us being partnered. One thing that we have noticed in this partnership with Meeker is the expanded networking that continues. Instead of just being a group of 24 leaders, it's now a group of almost 50, as well as day chairs and any other volunteers that are involved as well. Many of the people that are in my cohort or their cohort live or work in McLeod County and live or work in the other county, so that can be fun as well, since we're seeing different opportunities across both. We have a civic project each year that we do as an opportunity to encourage civic engagement and volunteerism in our program. This year we worked with Equal Access to do some branding projects around the facility to kind of get them engaged. And it actually, that night, one of the volunteers signed up to be a volunteer for the organization, like submitted the paperwork that night. So she continues to come every other week. So we're still seeing those dividends coming in volunteerism and civic engagement, even in small ways, not just all the big ones. So this year we're going to be focusing more on some of the opportunities in our county, as in, again, volunteerism, civic engagement, and ways to get involved by talking to more nonprofits, other organizations, and kind of giving people those connections so they can continue to be involved. A lot of people want to be involved, but they don't have the understanding or the know of how to get there. So we're trying to help limit those those barriers. Additionally, we have a student leadership part of our program where we combine students from the schools across the county. All schools have participated, all the public schools, and New Century has participated as well. We had 25 students this year participate across all of the schools and a homeschool student. So we're trying to reach additional folks and not just the normal target market, and try to create more connections that way. This has been our 3rd year of this student leadership program, and we have given out scholarships because of the additional funding we have received from our partnership organizations, such as the VFWs, Lions Clubs, et cetera, in the community. This year, we were able to give $1,800 worth of scholarships to students. And that is not just for 4-year programs, it's for any certificate or leadership, or not leadership, excuse me, any career building path that someone might take. So like a CDL program, for example, would qualify. We don't want to encourage folks just that they have to be pigeonholed into something specific. We want to encourage them to do what's best for them and help support them with that. Is there anything else I should?
Hit every bullet point.
Is there any questions or anything else I can touch on or clarify?
Board, any questions?
Mr. Chair?
Go ahead.
I don't think it qualifies as a question, but I want to congratulate you and the success that the program, has established, and thank you for the work you do. I'm going to hit on the cooperation that you have with Meeker County.
Yeah.
And the networking that you do. With what I do up here, I value highly that networking that we do with our neighboring counties, and I'm happy to hear that. I always say that I think we're stronger together than alone. So hopefully you will see the same values in that cooperation as what I experience with what I do up here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead.
I've been lucky enough to be a part of that program a few years back, before Meg's time, but I've also had the opportunity to have them come over to Broughton and use that as one of their meeting sites. So they not only teach leadership and that sort of thing, but they take you into the communities and they let you, like, when I was on it, we went to Forma-Feed in Stewart and toured that building. We toured feeding children. Food for Kids in Stewart. We went to Winstead and toured a couple different businesses there that, when you don't get outside of your area very often, you don't know what other towns have. So to be able to go to all those towns and tour the different businesses and different areas that they have, it's pretty cool. So if there's anybody out there looking for some sort of opportunity, it's not all that time consuming. What is it,
One day a month,
1 day a month?
September through May.
Yeah, and it's great, and the connections, like Nathan said, that's great. So thank you guys for all you do, and keep up the good work.
Thank
Can I
you.
say something on that note? Is because I grew up in Broughton and lived here my whole life, obviously. And some of these businesses I didn't even know existed, like especially the ones in Winstead. You just never believed of what is all there. It was a great experience.
We're all one county and we're all together, but the differences between Stewart and Winstead are vast. And as someone who's a Stewart resident, and I grew up in Green Isle, so I'm used to those tiny towns nobody cares about, blink and you miss it, right? Those are the ones that I especially love showing people. Glencoe has a lot to offer. Hutchinson has a lot to offer, but we all know that. That's not something that's misunderstood. Stewart, Brownton, Plato, Biskie, Silver Lake, and Winstead and Lester Prairie all have value that they bring to our county, and it's important for them to be represented as well. So equal representation is extremely important to me when it comes to that our whole county is shown for the beauty that it really is. And those, along with your partnership with Meeker County, we have in the last few years continued to expand that partnership in a way. Just on Friday, we met with the Sibley County and Nicollet County coordinators, as well as the Meeker County coordinators. Sibley and Nicollet partner together, and we partner with Meeker. And so it's really cool to have that, us coordinators have a connection as well, and we can kind of share ideas. How do you structure tours? How do you get new funders? You know, all of those things we can share, where when I started here in 2021, that wasn't a thing. The coordinators did not work together. So obviously I'm biased, but it's really exciting to see the growth in the community, and really we're fostering a community here in McLeod County and trying to build something where people are proud to be a part of this county, and I think that's our goal in general, all of us that represent McLeod County. But this is just another way that we can continue to build that community, that pride in where we live, and keep people informed and educated on the opportunities here.
Any other questions or comments from the board? No, I as well, I didn't know a lot of the things existed. I didn't take to go through the course, but I have watched it, and the agendas that you have for the year, I didn't realize I shouldn't say half, but quite a number of business existed. And even with the young people going, even if they don't stay in McLeod, they understand what we do here and how we function. So, and I think that's a good thing, because even if they take it elsewhere, it'll help McLeod County grow. But, so thanks
Absolutely.
for your work.
Thank you for your support.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Environmental Services, Mark.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I have 3 items for you for your consideration this morning. Item A is to consider approving conditional use permit 26-15 as requested by Joey Byrell, 23562, State Highway 15 Hutchinson, for a home occupation in an existing accessory building that is greater than 2,400 square feet. That accessory building is 50 by 60, which is 3,000 square feet. This property is located in the agricultural district, and the requested use is for an indoor millwork finishing business with a spray and paint booth. The property is described as 5 acres, which is that part of the south half of the northeast quarter, Section 7, Hutchinson Township. The Hutchinson Township Board recommended approval on July 9th, 2026. The McLeod County Planning Commission recommended approval on July 22nd, 2026 with the following conditions. Number 1, hours of operation shall be 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Saturday. Number 2, a new conditional use permit will be required if more than 5 non-resident employees report to this parcel. And number 3, the applicant shall be compliant with all state and federal requirements. So right now, it's a family-owned business. Joe is here. He can answer questions if you do have questions specific in regards to the business, but it's a new business with growth. If there are growth opportunities for him, he may be back in front of this board for a new conditional use permit if that triggers standards that he exceeds in the ordinance.
Questions from the board? I have none, so wishes of the board.
I'll move to approve.
Motion made by Commissioner Dahl to approve the
Second.
conditional use permit,
And I'll second it, Mr. Chair.
seconded by Commissioner Schmalz. Any more discussion?
I do have a couple of questions.
Go ahead, Commissioner Dahl.
We're going into a commercial application, so we're using more chemical, I'll say it that way, products that are controlled not by us, but by others. So storage, is he fully aware of the storage requirements?
He is, and I appreciate that question. So that is something I could have alluded or expanded on, if you will. Right now, he is going to finish product that typically is going to a hotel or to a residence. And in that application, if he's purchasing the quantities needed, whether it's paints or stains for that product, the jobs change, obviously, with the colors. And whatever color he has left over after the application, he'll send with the product to the homeowner and or to the hotel to use for touch-up and finishing. So his goal is to not have anything on site. If the business expands and he does have to store more than 25 gallons, it has to go into a safety cabinet. SDS is required through the safety provisions of the product that he is purchasing or receiving. So those are all the federal and state requirements that we have listed as number 3, because we can go on and on and on with air quality standards. He is aware, he has been working with the MPCA and with the State Fire Marshal's office in regards to the requirements that he has to meet. He is aware of that. Him and I did speak this morning in relation to the State Fire Marshal's office. He is trying to find the contact information just to verify that what he is doing is per their requirements. And looking through the State Fire Marshal's office, a lot of that has to do with flammable and combustible materials. So to your point in regards to the containment piece, and so they follow OSHA's regulations on that. And my belief is he is doing everything that he possibly can within his power to meet the standards.
The only other question I have, and this is early in the process, but is he aware down the road that once this is approved and moves forward, it becomes commercial for taxation purposes in McLeod County? That little parcel, that conditional use permit, that becomes a change. So he's nodding yes.
I see a head nod.
Okay, I just want to cover the bases up front rather than in the rears. So, okay, that's all I have.
Mr. Chair, just wanted to add, I heard the comment that if he needs to expand, we'll see him back for an addition onto his conditional use permit. So I hope we do see him back and that things are successful for him. So good luck.
I would echo that as well. I hope we see him back too. I'm a promoter of small business, and I've done a few of these things that are listed in here and in my previous life or years of work, but the only thing I would recommend is that even with the fire marshal, you might just see your local fire department. Because they come out and look, and if you ever do get a call, they already know, they've got a heads up on what's going on. And that's, again, I hesitate to tell a small businessman how to run, but that's something that I think would help.
And Mr. Chair, that was what we talked about this morning, so I did give him that recommendation just to check with the local fire chief, and he is working on trying to make contact with him.
Wishes of the board?
We already had a first and a second.
Just need to vote, Mr. Chair.
Very well, call the question. All in favor, say, of the conditional use permit 26-15, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Item B is to consider approving preliminary plat 26-03 as requested by Bridget Bethke Pinder, 5000 Wilshire Boulevard, Crystal, Minnesota, for a one-lot preliminary plat to be known as Cuba Farms for the purpose of creating one additional building site. This proposed building site is 1.27 acres, 200 by 276.99, which is part of a 18-acre field in Section 8 of Hutchinson Township. This quarter section currently has 2 non-farm dwellings, thus requiring this request. Mid-Minnesota Septic Services have provided a soils log identifying that there is a site and an alternate site for a standard drain field. The Hutchinson Town Board recommended approval at its meeting on July 9th, 2026. The McLeod County Planning Commission unanimously recommended approval on July 22nd, 2026. We did have quite a bit of discussion at the meeting for our Planning Commission. There were neighbors there. A lot of it centered around activity other than a building site. So we kind of had to have that discussion with a few of the neighbors, but this is strictly for the standard of does it meet the criteria of hard to farm for adding an additional building site.
Again, some of the challenges are what they are. I mean, you roll the dice on a lot of things going on, but I mean, it sounds like growth to me, so I'm not, that's my thought, and I'm interested in that. Wishes of the board or questions from the board? Commissioner Dahl?
Thank you. When I look at the map on Lot 1, and I've driven out there as recently as about an hour and a half ago, and I look at the stuff, and so for this parcel, it looks like Lot 1 has been segregated off. from that?
That is correct.
Okay, and that appears to be, there's slabs and stakes, like there's a building going up, like a house or something going on that property. That's what it appears on lot 1. Lot 2 appears to be a fenced-in area with a water truck there. That's what it appears to be. So when we're asking for something to go on lot 2, explain to me, because I'm naive.
But you're not, Commissioner.
Is there a requirement out there about having a residential close to or on this property? Or how does this all work? Because I don't see a residence, and now we're into something else on a different piece of property, and I'm like, I'm confused. What's going on?
So the 1.27 acres is, she's asking for an entitlement on that. In McLeod County, you're permitted one non-resident dwelling per quarter section by ordinance, which means that the applicant comes into us, site plan, application, septic design, we issue the permit, as long as all the setbacks are met to feedlots, property lines, et cetera.
Okay.
If you exceed the 1 per 40 by ordinance, then it has to be in front of you as a board to approve the site to be considered hard to farm. Hard to farm is defined as a parcel that's 30% wooded, small and irregular shaped, or something with poor soils. So we go through our checks, right? Can a standard septic be placed on that? Not unique to McLeod County. It's Minnesota Rule 7080 that any lot created after 96, you have to have a standard site and an alternate site for septic. So your question pertaining to the building site, that's what you're here and looking at today. The second site, she is producing crops on that site, and you are allowed outdoor crop cultivation as a standard, as a permitted standard in the ag district. If you were building buildings on that separate parcel, that requires a conditional use permit, because you cannot have an accessory without a primary unless you go through that conditional use process. So in the event that there are accessory buildings to be built on the remainder of that 18 acres, that's not part of the 1.27 acres, she'll be back in front of this body asking for approval for a conditional use permit.
Okay.
Did that
Yep.
address your concern?
Yep, yep. I just wanted to make sure that we were covering all our bases, because if I remember right, lot 1, a month or 2 ago, went through for a house. Am I correct?
That was a sketch plan process?
Yeah.
Yep, and so
Yep.
before we get into doing the survey work and the septic work and the wetland determinations and the checks that I was referring to,
Yeah.
that sketch plan is a simple window test, if you will, based on the ordinance requirements. Does this piece meet the hard to farm criteria?
Okay.
And does it? I mean, that would be, I mean, I heard a lot of talk about it now, but it does meet that criteria.
So 1.27 acres, you know, as a separate 1.27 acres, again, you as a body approved that sketch plan. And again, I don't want to speak for you as a body, but, you know, with today's equipment, it's a corner of a field that is cut off by another building site, right? So this 18 acres, you're farming around a 2-acre building site. So the ears on each end, if you will, you know, really, I understand that it, in my opinion, as staff, yes, I believe it does meet that criteria of hard to farm, just because today's equipment has changed so much.
It's really not in this particular permit, but you can subdivide land that's not hard to farm.
You can subdivide it.
Unless you changed, I mean, I know of property that's divided or lotted off that's not hard to farm.
Okay,
But whether it was done before, I'm a little, can't remember right now if what ordinance and when it was made, it had to be hard to farm.
October 17th, 1981 is the date of the standard.
That's what I was looking for. Thank you for knowing that, but, so some of these could have been divided before that, but.
Yeah, if you actually look at it, lot 1 sits high, lot 2 sits low. It's about 24 feet. And when you say farmed or producing, whatever, I saw a lot of stuff that says it's not really farmable, because there's no corn or beans or wheat or alfalfa or anything on this property.
That is again, that's a good point, because I think when we look at this as a county, in my time here, we look at it from the traditional sense of the row cropping that's traditionally done. That has somewhat changed today, right? I mean, we get into these urban gardens where people are coveting smaller tracts of land that are still very productive. So again, for the sake of our ordinance, that is a review process that comes back in front of you to deal with the density piece. At the most, you can only have up to 4 non-residents in a quarter section before you'd have to rezone that 5th one. In our ordinance, we have put a cap on that urban sprawl, if you will. Since 2004, if you are more than 2 miles from a city, from a boundary, municipal boundary, you're prohibited from rezoning unless you're adjacent to that higher use already.
Well, what I was trying not to get too far into is the horizon has crept in of other things taken care, are supposed to have been under the umbrella of hard to farm, and we're not making very much success in enforcing that. So that's where, I mean, it's not lots for houses, but it's in other things to me, to which, in my way of thinking, defers growth, and I have problems. That's what I was really hinting around to without actually saying it.
Yeah, Commissioner, you and I've spoke about this, and I don't disagree with you. Those are the cards that were dealt as local government from the powers above us.
Mr. Chair?
Go ahead.
It does look like, looking at the aerial map, the designation of hard to farm does make sense. It's slivered off, it's a corner, and the comment that with today's equipment where it's at, I mean, that does seem to definitely fit. The request made it through the township, through our own planning commission unanimously, so I see no further need to challenge it here, so I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Wright to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Dahl. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
And this request, this is not the final request. There is a final plat application, so this will be in front of you at one more time. Item C is to consider renewing the abatement facility license for the Spruce Ridge Resource Management Facility, our landfill, which is owned by Waste Management, Inc., to operate as a recycling municipal solid waste and demolition disposal facility until June 30th, 2027. The reason this is in front of you is this is a multi-layered permit. So we as a county have granted permission to the landfill years ago as a conditional use permit. Started out as a special use permit. And this is a licensing standard that we have in section 9 of our solid waste ordinance. It's on our fee schedule, so it allows for you to do an annual review, staff to do an annual review to make them compliant, asks for them to submit data to us in regards to what's being hauled into that facility for our reporting, and then also allows for us to charge a fee. So we do charge a $500 fee for the abatement of the municipal solid waste, the demolition, and the recycling. So it is a $1,500 annual fee that we do collect. That really is what this is about.
Move to approve.
Motion made by Commissioner Dahl to approve. Is there a second?
Second?
Seconded by Commissioner Wright. Any discussion? One thing I would ask is, I know there's some things coming down the pike with this, not with this particular item, but with Spruce Ridge, and I would encourage us to look at having a meeting with the powers that be in order to set a longer year plan, because, I mean, I personally have some issues. I watch this pretty close on the footprint that this covers, and the only thing that kind of caught my eye and is to operate recycling, and that's a big word. And of what all comes and goes in there, and $1,500 in the context of that business is peanuts. So, my words. But, and I'm not opposed to it at all. I'm not saying that, but I mean it's just in how growth. But I think with what we had just issued them to be able to go up back to where they were initially permitted for and a little beyond, I think that was all good. But I mean, I just want to say that we need to know these people. I mean, I have some other thoughts about recycling, because that mountain is, you know, the old saying, the sun don't come up till noon in Biskie, so.
And they were in front of you, if you remember, the CUP,
Right.
that, the last one was for their vertical height expansion. Was done in 2025, early 2025, for some of you. They did meet with us several times through the Solid Waste Committee, detailed what they were doing. Carlson McCain was their entity that handled their permitting with the state. And Commissioner Kruger, they have discussed, you know, changes to that facility. Their timeline originally, I think, was a lot shorter than it currently is today. I think that's been pushed out a few years. So at that point, if they do elect to go forward with that and change some of their operations, they definitely will be in front of you.
Well, no, and I don't mean this to be difficult. I
Yeah.
mean this to be understanding of what different things, or maybe even change ideas on what we, or I think about what's going forward.
Right.
There is some infrastructure there that a lot of landfills don't have. And, I mean, I think it's just good to have a correspondence, whether they're delayed or not, doesn't matter.
Right.
It's just a point I'd like to make. With that, all in favor of the licensing, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Thank you.
Mark. Sheriff's Office. Morning, Tim.
Good morning. I have 4 contracts here, agreements to get approval for. The first one is consider renewing the 10-year contract to continue service with Axon Enterprise out of Scottsdale, Arizona, for our licensed deputies' body-worn cameras and tasers. The 10-year cost is $726,707.06, and those funds will come from the Sheriff's Office budget.
Okay, when you say that Sheriff's Office budget, is there any grants entailed in that, or is it all?
This is all budgeted money.
It's all budgeted money, okay.
Correct.
Mr. Chair?
Go ahead.
And Tim, I just had a question too. Was this foreseen? In other words, is this something we've been preparing for in past years, knowing that this was going to be coming before us now this year?
Correct. We're just getting to the end of our first contract with Axon. That was a 5-year contract, and that is ending in 2027.
Mr. Chair, this is a needed cost for public safety. I see no reason to get in the way of it, so motion to approve.
Motion made by Commissioner Wright to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Dahl. I do concur that we've talked about this several times. Where are we at in the cameras? And if I already knew, I apologize, but I mean, are they all up to date?
For our body-worn cameras? Correct. We just entered into a contract a year and a half ago with Axon for our squad cameras. So in 3 years, we'll be back in front of you for that. But this agreement will cover the body-worn cameras for the licensed deputies, the upgraded tasers, and then the cameras get replaced every 30 months, and the tasers will be replaced at the beginning of year 6.
And it's just because of a vendor that I mean, cameras and tasers, there's a big difference. I mean, are they regulated kind of the same? Is that why a company like that handles them? And again, are the tasers, are they also, I don't want to say new, but are they in there?
They will be the upgraded version, correct?
Okay.
They work together, so if a deputy were to deploy a taser, it will automatically turn their camera on. As soon as it comes out and gets activated, it turns the camera on. Same thing if the handguns come out of the holster, it turns the cameras on, that kind of stuff. So they all work together.
Oh, good to know. I didn't know that, but
Yep.
Again, no, and I understand, as Commissioner Wright said, I understand the need. I mean, it's obviously in the news all the time. It's just one of those necessary, I hate to say necessary evils, but it's good for everybody concerned, so.
Yep, and this will make it easier for Ryan's office too. He's not here today, but every agency in the county will now be with Axon, because I believe Brownton was the last one to go with Axon. So that'll make it easier for the county attorney's office and prosecutors as well.
Good for information. I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
The second agreement or contract is to deal with the jail. Same type of deal, but the 10-year contract for body-worn cameras and tasers for the jail is $381,203.06. Those funds will also come from the sheriff's office jail budget. And similar to the previous one, the cameras will be replaced at 30 months, and the tasers will be replaced at 6 years.
Are they, just for clarification, is it just basically the same, only different department?
The cameras are all the same. The tasers are a little bit different, but it's still an upgrade for the jail.
Very good. Wishes of the board.
Mr. Chair, I'll move.
Motion made by Commissioner Schmalz to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Dahl. Any more discussion?
Mr. Chair, I just have one question.
Go ahead.
So the
Commissioner.
jail is sticking with Taser 7s?
Correct.
Okay.
And then
Is there a reason why they're not going to Taser 10s?
just for money and
Okay.
the number of times they're actually being used. And then the current tasers that are being utilized by the jail will go down to the posse.
Oh,
So we're not just getting rid of stuff, we're just handing it to the little brother.
thank you.
Mr. Chair?
Good plan. Go ahead, Commissioner Schmalz.
Just a question, Tim, and I kind of wanted to get to this question before we took the last vote, but the contract amount that we're looking at includes video storage?
That includes all storage, correct?
And that was what I wanted to clarify. Thank you.
Yep.
Being we went into the storage, how long is it, how long are they stored? I mean, do you have a time period where you can safely,
Yeah, it's different retention periods based on the type of call that it is.
okay,
Anywhere from 90 days to lifetime.
very good.
Just a comment,
Commissioner Dahl?
I was not familiar with this Axon Enterprise until I was watching the news and I was paying attention to the little thing, from the body camera. I was like, oh, look at that, that's Axon. It said their name right on it, time,
Yep.
date, and I was like, oh, that's who we're looking at.
Free advertising.
You just made me think of another question, but is that satellite produced, or how is this held? Is it cloud-based?
It's all in the cloud,
All
correct?
right.
That's why it's so expensive.
All right, calling a question, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
The third item is consider renewing the service agreement with ASM Global to assist the Hennepin County Sheriff's Office with providing security at US Bank Stadium for major events such as Minnesota Vikings game. All Sheriff's Office wages are reimbursed and there will be no actual cost to McLeod County. This is a renewal.
I know we hear this every year. It's just, I trust our sheriff, so I just hearing everything that goes on in the metro area, it just kind of makes the old gray hairs in the back of my head stand up. But having said that, I understand your guys is working together, so I'll defer to the rest of the board's wishes. Commissioner
Motion
Dahl.
to approve.
Motion made by Commissioner Dahl to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Wright. Any more discussion or questions? for
Mr.
Tim?
Chair, one
Go ahead.
question. And Tim, we do have an escape clause in this contract too, as far as choosing not to participate at a future time. Am I correct on that?
Correct. This agreement is going to be a 5-year, but there is an out in that. It was all reviewed by Ryan's office.
Thank you.
One more question, Mr. Chair.
Go
Sorry.
ahead,
Is this all volunteer?
What do you mean
Like,
volunteer?
can you volunteer to go down there under this contract, or do they, request
So
you
when,
send 4 people down?
when we agree, it's for 4 people. So if we don't have 4 people sign up, we will assign to make sure we meet the agreement.
Okay.
And the deputies are all, part of the reason we're doing this too is the deputies actually really enjoy it. They have fun
no
going
doubt.
down there, interacting with the people, seeing the stuff they get to see and that kind of stuff, so.
So then are they under our employment at that time, or are they under,
They're under ours
okay,
for workman's comp, that
Yep,
kind of stuff. That
yep.
all sticks with McLeod County.
okay, thank you.
And I heard it before, now what do we get in return? When I say that, I mean now like you're guaranteeing them 4. Do you have any other agreements if you need help with something that, we've got Winstock and I've seen, officers from all over. I mean, unofficially kind of cover that,
It-
working together?
It's a little bit scratch my back, I scratch your back
Right,
type thing.
and that's fine.
Like with Hennepin County, they're the first ones. They'll send their bomb detection dogs out for Winstock. We'll do a sweep. They do a lot of that stuff for us. Any specialty stuff, specialty canines, boat and water assists that we might need, they're normally the first ones to respond or offer up just because they have it all, so.
Very good. Any other questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries.
And the last item just goes along with that is consider renewing the joint powers agreement with the Minnesota Sports Facility Authority to assist the Hennepin County Sheriff's Office with providing security at US Bank for major events such as the Vikings game. And again, no cost to McLeod County.
Move request, Mr. Chair.
Motion made by Commissioner Schmalz, is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Commissioner Chatska. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
Employee Relations, Hannah. Good morning, Hannah.
Good morning. Good to see you all. I have one item this morning, and the item is consider approving the 2026 compensation services agreement with Keystone Compensation Group from Minneapolis, Minnesota, at a cost not to exceed $15,750 with funds from the countywide budget. This is a budgeted expense. The compensation services include annual compensation program maintenance and consultation, and we've been working with Keystone, who is helping to establish and work alongside us to establish our payment or pay plan with McLeod County since 2014.
Mr. Chair?
Go ahead, Commissioner Wright.
Hannah, is there an urgency on this at all?
Yeah, so the reason I'm bringing it to the board now, it's something that we'll obviously talk about as a personnel committee. It may not be an every year kind of thing. The reason we're bringing it now is we are in the midst of a 2-year contract right now with all 9 of our units that ends at the end of next year. So we'll begin planning for our next contract negotiations the beginning of 2027 next year. So what this compensation review will do is will give us some updated information. The board's made extremely meaningful investments into our compensation, our wages, and we have not had a review since we've approved our most recent 2-year contract for 2026 and 2027. So that's why I'm bringing it to the board at this time to help us have the most updated data for the board and the negotiations committee to make as sound of decisions as we can to not, overpay, underpay, those kinds of things to continue that work.
So these are my thoughts, and I do apologize, I didn't talk to you earlier about this, but I know that we had it on our last board agenda and waited till this one to see it, and there's been some conversation, just kind of in the middle. And as noted, we've been doing this since 2014. And so, yes, we have a long-standing relationship with them, but when have we tore it apart to make sure it's the right fit for us? And I know we have some new board members that haven't seen that more than just the re-enroll part of it. And I'm wondering if we shouldn't take a little bit of time to maybe dissect that a little bit and reaffirm, even those of us that have been here for a while, that it's the right thing to do, or maybe we need to look at different. And dealing a lot with how those comparisons come to be within the Keystone study, and how and how we for sure get that implemented within the workforce here. I think it maybe wouldn't hurt to just go through that whole mechanics from top to bottom again, so that we know how to explain that to constituents for one thing, and to make sure that it fits within our employee base at the same time. So I was just throwing it out that maybe if we wait, take a month or a few weeks or whatever, and if board members have some questions as to this, I mean, obviously this is the most expensive thing that the county does, is the investment in longevity and talent. And so, if we were to send questions that we have about this topic, to yourself or Sheila, and then we have probably a very descriptive workshop session on those questions that we have, so that we then know this is for sure how we want to move forward. I mean, I do understand the need for data, for sure. We have to have it. But it sounds like we need it, but we might have some time before we have to perhaps re-enroll in this. So I'm just wondering if we shouldn't just back up and let's make sure that this is the right step moving forward.
Yeah, obviously, the wishes of the board will, of course, the board makes that choice. The one thing I will just mention, and we'll be happy to have a longer discussion at a workshop if that's what you choose today. The board, what I can say from what I'm observing, even going through this last negotiations process, I think we're really on the right track. And what the board's done a great job of is we're not playing catch up in the same way as we maybe have felt in the past, we're continuing to maintain this big investment. So yeah, I totally agree, or would be happy to have a longer conversation about it. I think also this is the compensation plan that we've been investing in, I think is working really well, and we're seeing that in some of our turnover rates, those kinds of things too, so.
Just to expand on what Commissioner Hyde had to say, there is only one or two of us, probably two of us that went through this. When I mean, 12 years ago, I'm not picking on anybody in the past, but we didn't have a very good department handling all this. We were behind. You said catch up. We spent a lot of money to catch up. I mean, and there was a lot of discussion, a lot of meetings when we went through this, a lot of back and forth. But I want to feel that we have, how do I say it right? We've put a lot of money in your department to know some of these answers, and I feel that, there's, the data's out there if we find it. I just can't, with the prices of everything going anymore, I can't find it to keep spending this kind of money. Cause I mean, we have to work on, I understand we have to do negotiations, but more than negotiations is retention. We're still, I'm on personnel, and it's, weekly, one or two people, turning, and no matter what we do, we have that issue. And I think we've got ourselves back into the range, areas that we need to. There's always, it's a different, when we change somebody's department or different ranges, I understand what we have to go through there. But the long and short of it is, 12 years ago, and when we moved into this, we expanded your department. I mean, all the way from the administrator on up to educate themselves or hire the right people to know some of these answers. I'm just having a hard time with technology today that we have access to keep going outside. I just don't, I think we have comparable people to make some of them decisions if they choose to.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead.
I'd like to comment. And a couple of the commissioners have brought their concerns to me as well in the past couple days and in the last meeting and why we took it off. I would just encourage you all to look back at the amount of money that you spend on technology and have to for maintenance agreements. And just turn back the page and look at the sheriff's office, just on the body cameras and different things. This isn't just what we can go and look up on the internet. We can't get this information by ourselves. It takes a painstaking amount of time just for me to get the elected officials' information every year. I'm going through every newspaper I possibly can from every county. It's a rush. It's calling every county because of when it's voted on. So, and I know that there's another concern of where's this information coming from? Well, we use a multiplier. It's not like we take Ramsey County because we want to be Ramsey County wages and try and match that. We didn't choose that independently. You're paying a consulting company actually much less than other counties pay it, and they do wage studies very often. We don't do them as often as a lot of the other counties, and some of those of comparable size and close to us are paying for people to do all of the work. We maintain our wage system and our compensation for the jobs, and our turnover has improved. You will see week, or you might see someone every week because we have people that are retiring, coming in and out. We have a lot of employees. We have a lot of services. So until the number of employees would change, that probably won't change. But we don't, honestly, McLeod doesn't have a turnover issue in comparison to other counties. We're admired. So I don't want to give the wrong impression that we have all this turnover going on. We have no retention. Our retention has improved. You can look around the room and see that. You can go to the county fair this week and see that on the posters, because I only had to add 1 or 2 pictures. And the only ones I had to change were elected officials. So I just want to make sure that we have the right impression of these things. I'm not saying we should spend money flippantly. I'm not saying we should just count on the compensation system we already have. We should look at it. But we have compared it to other systems. It is, the investment that you have made, I will assure you, is much less expensive than what a lot of other counties are doing by using big companies. We're using a smaller independent consultant that works directly with our county and takes our information. It's not just a database. And they don't just help us get our wage scales for the grades. It's for all of the different jobs when they come up or when you have to change something or add something. He's looking through every job description as well. So the maintenance is not just saying, here's what other people are paying, here's a balance, here's what you should pay. There's quite a bit of work that goes into that, and part of the reason that we need that assistance is because we're not compensation experts. We don't have one. I did look in what it would cost for one of us to become that, and it's around $50,000. Thank you.
Again, I would argue that when we started this, we added departments, or we added people to departments to defer from having to do this, and I understand the complexion of privacy and all that stuff, but I can pick up a phone and I pretty much talk to other counties. It's usually specified to one or two positions, but I can find out what people are making. It's public information. And with AI today, I'm not gonna budge too easily on this. I mean, if we're gonna spend money on technology and hire outside, well, then that's the route we take. We can't do it all. And we can't keep spending money and do it all. I would hold some of our departments expanding AI. From what I see, the data I look at, there's plenty of ways to get some pretty instant answers now. Whether they're correct or not, that's gonna depend on the person looking it up to make sure you verify your sources, but.
And Mr. Chair, I want to,
I don't really wanna argue about it.
I'm not arguing, I'm just giving you some information. I want to support what you're saying. AI, we could only use Microsoft Copilot as a county, and that can only access our own information. When we're on our system, we can't go and use ChatGPT and all of the different systems to get that, but none of the information we need is private, because it's all public information and public data. So we can get it, and we do that. We do go out and get it, and AMC, who the county has to pay fees to as well, as we've talked about. I support you not wanting to overspend. Please don't misunderstand that, and I don't want to argue it. I just want to make sure you have the information. So their wage research has changed to make sure that they're meeting the needs of the counties too, and that's helpful. And Hannah and I have both had to do quite a bit of wage study. And when we say we've strengthened our department, that's true, but that's because of a centralized effort. We didn't add a department. We took a lot of different positions out of other departments over the years from that 2017 study and centralized those services. So I don't want to make it look like we added to administration by not taking from somewhere else. That was a concerted effort on, to have that all in one place. Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, Mr. Wright.
Yep. My approach to this is maybe just take some time to re-educate how this system is built. Again, a couple new board members since we put this into place, and there's some really great questions and comments that have already come out of this. So again, rather than just signing up for another year, let's take some time and make sure that this is the path we want moving forward. It's worked in the past, and we did have a catch-up period, and we don't ever want to go there again. And we have to continue to invest in great employees, or we lose them. That's just how that goes. But we have to make sure that we have the right schedule moving forward, and that our constituents are getting the best bang for their tax dollars at the same time. I don't like the motion to table because it doesn't allow for any discussion. You have to even vote. So I'm going to try it differently, that we would move that this item be postponed until we have a workshop on it at a later date. I'm not going to end date that. So that is my motion for now.
Motion made by Commissioner Wright to postpone the compensation service agreement till a later date. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Commissioner Chaska. Discussion?
I would like to make a comment on that if I can. I've been a part of compensation studies They're not easy. I feel I don't have enough information with this group here, so to bring it to a workshop, I think is what we need to do to make us understand it better. I feel the confidence that Keystone is, or somebody is the right way to go, because I can't imagine that you guys can do that on your own. I don't care, you know, where you can call a county, you can call whatever, but there's so much more that goes into that from my history, from my background in that. So that's why, at this point, I'd like to hear more, but I definitely see the benefit in it.
Mr. Chair, if successful, oh, sorry, Lori, were you done?
I'm done, yeah.
Okay. In order for this to be successful, I think it's on every board member to submit 3 or 4 questions to admin or to Hannah so that we can actually get somewhere with that workshop. And I'd also ask that that is the only workshop agenda on that day, because I think it's gonna be long and we have a lot of questions to ask. But we need to have that conversation fruitful, so we have to do our part and send our questions and points of interest forward, so.
That'd be great, thank you.
Mr. Chair?
Commissioner Smalls?
And a question for you, Hannah. Do we have a timeline that we should really deliver a decision on this, and what does that look like?
Yeah, thank you. So in the supporting documentation, they usually get all their most recent updated data in September. And so sometime this fall or winter, if we can get our, information to Keystone, that will help us get information back to us in early 2027. So I would say, ideally this fall would be really helpful if we were going to move forward with it. But that being said, even if it's later, it's not like we can't use that data. But that's when all the most recent numbers will come in, will be in September, and it'll be sometime this fall, would be helpful.
Thank you, Hannah. And that's one of the questions I had is how we address this. And I do agree that we need to educate the board. I may be a little, I won't say more educated, but being on Union Negotiations Committee, I have seen the benefit of this, especially the last few years. It gives us an independent view for us to bring to the table. If we wouldn't have numbers of our own, we'd be at the mercy of staff trying to collect numbers or using, let's say, what a union rep would give us, which would put us at, well, I'll just say it, it probably would put us at a disadvantage, and we don't want to be in that place either. But as far as delaying a decision, educating the board, I'll be okay with that, but at the same time, I will say that I'll be supportive as we move forward, because I think I've seen the results, especially the last few years.
I would just add to that we're elected to come here to make some hard decisions. None of these are gonna be easy. Maybe you need to check with some of the commissioners in Chisago County and see what they've been going through all year. And, you can rationalize yourself to death, but this is not a private company. We're dealing with money that we have to take our money from our constituents and make the best use of it we can. And that's where I'm gonna base some of my decisions on, but, there's a motion on the floor, so is there any more discussion to that?
Just clarity.
Dahl?
Just clarity. When you say a workshop, Paul, are you envisioning that be all internal, no external?
The workshop would be
It's public.
open to the public.
Right, but I'm saying we're not bringing in somebody to tell us.
No, it's just a conference like the workshops usually would be, and
Okay.
the questions that we submit would be for Hannah to find the answers to, and she'll have to work on that then, so.
And some of that data should be the evolution of the last 10 to 12 years of our decisions we did make and where we were at and what we did and how we added on to the department to, in my way of thinking, or my vote yes for that, was to be able not to have to spend so much outside money. I really believe the data's there if you want to find it, but again, I digress. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? carries. So when we try to find a date, I'll leave that up to administration to find a date that works best for us. I mean, we're going into a busy part of the year.
Mr. Chair,
Go
I
ahead.
think we'll shoot for the second workshop in September at this point, but it may change to the first in October. Thank you.
Thank you. Looking forward to that conversation. Last thing I just wanted to mention, I did provide this at one of the more recent workshops, so I know there's lots of information. When it comes to turnover data, the average in the public sector is like a 10%. Right now, McLeod County is a little bit below 9% this year, so that's been a major improvement over the last few years. And to Commissioner Kruger's comments, last year in the summer, I presented some information on the last 12 years of staffing, and we'll go through that when we talk about this as well in the September meeting. So thanks, looking forward to that.
Okay, thank you.
Economic Development, Liz. Morning, Liz.
I have Mary Grack with me, who is the Senior Lending Specialist and the Partnership Community Land Trust Lead for the Southwest Minnesota Housing Partnership. And she's here to answer any questions on this item. But here today to ask you to consider allocating $50,000 from the Statewide Affordable Housing Aid Fund to support the Southwest Minnesota Housing Partnership's SWMHP 2026 scattered site application to the Minnesota Housing Finance Agency, including the addition of 2 Partnership Community Land Trust, or PCLT, homes in McLeod County, subject to approval by Minnesota Housing. SWMHP is a nonprofit housing development organization, and they've applied to MHFA to develop 10 affordable homes across its service area, including 2 homes in Hutchinson. These homes would be added to the PCLT, a longstanding model that creates permanently affordable home ownership opportunities for households earning below 80% of the area median income as defined by Minnesota Housing Impact Fund. CLT homes remain affordable across multiple owners, preserving the public investment and expanding access to home ownership. Statewide, there are over 1,600 homes in community land trusts. To demonstrate local support, the Hutchinson Housing and Redevelopment Authority, or the HRA, has contributed 2 parcels within the city of Hutchinson to the project. At its meeting on July 9th, 2026, the McLeod County Economic Development Committee voted 5-0 to recommend the McLeod County allocate $50,000 or $25,000 per lot from its statewide affordable housing aid funds to further demonstrate local support of SWMHP's application. This contribution would close the local subsidy gap, which is usually around $75,000 per home. And just a reminder, our qualifying projects for statewide statewide affordable housing aid funds include financial support to nonprofit affordable housing providers in their mission to provide safe, dignified, affordable, and supportive housing. SAHA funds that the county received in 2023, which we currently have a remaining balance of $84,903 in that account, must be committed by the end of this year. Minnesota Housing would be expected to select its projects from their applications by December of this year.
Just a question on that last part, now that there's $84,000 that's there right now, or is some of that been spent down?
So just looking at the 2023 funds, we received $114,903. We've allocated $30,000 of that, so the remaining balance for the 2023 amounts is $84,903. But altogether, we have continued to receive allocations after 2023, so the current balance in there today is, let's see, $278,530.
Not all of that, how did we get to the part of the amount of money that we would lose if not spend it by the end of 26?
So just of that funding that we received in 2023, needs to be allocated by the end of this year.
23, okay.
Yep, so of the amount that we have left to allocate by the end of this year is that 84,903.
I just want to make that number clear, that that money is, God, I hate to say always use it or lose it, but that's part of this thing. And again, I'm on HRA. As far as our county HRA, I'm not super familiar with Hutchison's HRA. I ashamed of myself, but I didn't realize that they had levying authority. So you have ways in Hutchinson, or Hutchinson has ways to generate money. So the only part of this in McLeod County that'll be used is for those two lots in Hutchinson. There won't be anything out of the Hutchinson area as far as McLeod County is concerned.
Correct, not with this current application, and maybe Mary can speak a little bit to this. Two of other examples where cities have started out and then continued to grow their PCLT presence within their county or within various cities. But the scattered site application that they're submitting this year applied for 10 locations. Only 2 of those are going to be located in McLeod County.
And are they single family homes?
Yes. They're to be built, so they'll be
And what
new construction.
program will they come under, HRA or a different program?
My understanding is they'll be under the ownership and management of the Southwest Minnesota Housing Partnership Community Land Trust entity. So it won't be owned or maintained by the Hutchinson HRA.
It will not be.
Correct.
And who's responsible for the occupancy and who comes in? Is there more homes like this in Hutchinson?
Nope, these would be the first 2, and the Southwest Minnesota Housing Partnership staff would be responsible for the occupancy and all the reporting that goes along with it.
Questions from the board?
Mr. Chair, well, this, I guess the whole program is written by rules up and above us, and we're just kind of the players in the middle. And the fact is that we do have to have these funds distributed by the end of the year. It is unfortunate that we get stuck with that. Like you referenced, Commissioner Kruger, spend it or lose it type of scenario. But it is an investment in the right place according to the rules that are on this. The Economic Development Committee did vote in favor, and I will make a motion to support it. So I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion made by Commissioner Wright to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Dahl. Any more discussion? Commissioner Dahl?
Just a note, I just want to make sure on that resolution 26CB-22, very last paragraph, now therefore be it resolved. I want to make sure that Minnesota Housing is referenced correctly in that resolution.
I am sorry, I don't have the copy of the resolution in front of me.
I know. I'm just
I'll go-
making a point that make sure that that name is
Okay.
correct. Yeah, thank you.
I will do that, thank you.
And again, in this instance as well, we need, the lose it or use it, I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer, I guess, to use the money. We're short of housing, I get all that. However, I'm familiar with our McLeod County HRA, and those rules boggle the mind, for me at least. And I would like a better partnership, so we kind of know, what's going on, where we can accent, so we don't run into this. We're 4 months or whatever from losing this money that could be put to use. And I don't want to be a hypocrite because we have gotten money from the county, some of the ARPA funds and different things for the McLeod County HRA. We've been very prudent with that money to try and upgrade more efficient, energy efficient windows, roofs. We've not been able to see our way clear of building houses because the money that we would get, we couldn't be competitive in rent. I mean, we're right back to the same the clients would have the same problem with us as they're having now. So, again, I just want to accent that, and I think a better working relationship, or just the information from what you do. I think we all have the same goals in mind, but different ways to get to them, and be nice to understand them. But
Thank you.
again, I think I've said enough. So is there any more discussion?
Just a comment. I'm gonna try and turn you a little bit here, Doug, at this meeting.
What?
I am in a good mood. I don't view this as a use it or lose it, and I'll explain why, because when I sat down and I go through things, and I have a lot of questions for Clean, and this is one of the flags that comes up, you know, that you had this money since 2023, and we haven't been able to plug it in someplace yet. So, you know, here's the person that helps us plug that money in. And it's taken her a while to do that, but she's identified for us partnership that you haven't had before, okay? Where these people come in and they own the land, and the house is built, and what we're referring to is they're actually buying somebody's buying the property at a reduced rate because somebody else owns the land. Correct?
Yep.
And they can't sell it, and there's all kinds of binders. So I would give kudos to Liz and to Colleen for flagging it, and Liz for finding a new partnership for McLeod County. So I view this completely different than use it or lose it, okay?
But we have to use it or lose it. So I agree with what you just said, but that's what I was saying in a different way. I mean, we shouldn't be running down to these last 4 months. And if I heard correctly, those two lots were bought by the Hutchison HRA, or owned by the Hutchison HRA. So you're looking at several different NGOs, and NGOs are put a bad taste in my mouth. I'm sorry, but that's just the way it is. I'm not going to pull any punches on it. They're not all bad. They put a bad taste in my mouth. And but having said that, I mean, for instance, and I hate to use this for an example, because I think Liz and you guys, I'm glad you're bringing it to us, and maybe it's my fault that I'm not as up to speed as I should be on this, but if we as in the McLeod County HRA would have somebody dump 2 houses on us,
Yeah.
I could rent them out.
Yeah.
Fairly reasonable. So I'm just trying to say that, and that's maybe the goals we should have, because that's what we're looking for: affordable housing, managed affordable housing. I mean, some affordable housing gets out of whack, in my opinion.
Yes.
But
And
no, your points are, you don't have to turn me on that. I just I'm okay with that. But there's several organizations here that did work to put it together, good or bad. But I would have just liked a little better heads up on it, and obviously if we don't do it, the money's gone. So I don't know how else to put it.
I'll just note that we do have another item coming up related to the McLeod County HRA as well. And then one clarification on the Hutchinson HRA's role in this project. Their role will be similar to McLeod County's, in that they're contributing the local support, or the local, what is it called? So the local subsidy gap. So the lots are valued at about $50,000 each. And then McLeod County's coming in with the $25,000, and that's where the housing partnership is getting that local contribution. So the Hutchinson HRA isn't going to receive the 2 homes after they're built. They're just contributing the land in the same manner that McLeod County would be contributing their housing aid funds to the project.
So how are they listed on the tax rolls once they're completed?
They'll be listed under the Community Land Trust through the housing partnership.
In addition to the owner of the property, that these are sold to home buyers.
Well, they are sold, okay.
Yes, the home is sold, the land is maintained by the partnership
And
community
who's
land trust.
responsible, and it's a rhetorical question, I just want to know if it's the same, who's responsible if it comes back to the if they can't make it go for one reason or another? The people that buy, does it go back in this program again and try to be reallocated out again?
Yes, it will forever stay in the Partnership Community Land Trust, and so the Partnership Community Land Trust has the first right of refusal to purchase the properties back and then sell it to another low-income qualified buyer.
Very good. Any other questions from the board? Hearing none, all in favor of allocating this money, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, and then I have,
Excuse me,
Yep,
before
sorry.
you go, let's try to get whether it's a workshop or whatever, or even a meeting with the two HRAs. I've always, it's crossed my path so much, and I know nothing, being still I'm a county commissioner, and I should know something, whether I like it or whether we can participate or not in the Hutchison HRA, because it does, through the taxing system and money allocations, it does affect the county, so.
yeah.
Thank you.
We can do that. Thanks, Mary. All right, so the next item is also related to statewide affordable housing aid funds. And so here asking you to consider allocating $34,903 from the statewide affordable housing aid fund to the McLeod County Housing and Redevelopment Authority, the HRA, to support window replacement at its townhomes in either Glencoe, Brownton, Stewart, Silver Lake, or Lester Prairie, so the exact property has not yet been identified. The McLeod County HRA has requested funding from McLeod County to support their efforts to replace windows in some of its townhomes. The McLeod County HRA maintains townhomes in Glencoe, Brownton, Stewart, Silver Lake, and Lester Prairie. Again, those qualifying projects for statewide affordable housing funds include financial support to nonprofit affordable housing providers in their mission to provide safe, dignified, affordable, and supportive housing. SAHA funds that the county received in 2023, now after that last item, would be that amount of $34,903 remaining. Must be committed by the end of this year. The McLeod County Economic Development Committee voted on August 12th, 2026 to recommend allocation of these funds.
Board's wishes, I can comment just a little bit, and that's why I said earlier that I don't want to be hypocritical. The McLeod County HRA does not have levying authority, and so we have to make our budgets match on the money that we receive for rent or grants or whatever programs, we can get into, and we made some strides in the last 10 to 12 years on keeping ourselves in the black, and the money is very much appreciated. I wish we could. We have the discussion quite frequently to try to expand more housing, and that's tough. I mean, if without building new construction, as I said earlier, and having to rent them out, we're defeating our purpose, my words, that we can't have competitive or cheaper rent for what we're supposed to be doing. And that was my reason for trying to compare or look for more solutions for the two HRAs. I mean, they're HRAs and they're totally different.
Yes, and I will say, Jill, the director of the McLeod County HRA, and I have had a couple good conversations, and one recently on just different opportunities where we can strengthen that partnership or try to help support their efforts a little bit better. And so I'm hopeful that, even through this continued SAHA funding, maybe there's going to be other opportunities that Jill and I can present to you in the future as well.
Good to know. I mean, Jill has been our star, and I mean, no offense or anything, but they're getting older and they're sunsetting, and to keep that education, without her, we couldn't do what we do. I mean, she has, it's full-time, the experience and work she has to do, but she's out of Candy, Ohio, and again, we hired her as basically as a manager to help us manage our HRA, and she's really good.
Yeah, she has a lot of technical expertise.
That you're working with her, because again, in the last 10 years, we got ourselves into the black, and of course, help with ARPA, because this money will also go, it's just hard to pinpoint exactly which window we're gonna replace, but it's windows, air conditioning, heating, a lot, these are slab on grade, a lot of them, there's moisture issues, I mean, I can go on, but that's where we've been putting our money in to try and you know, you gotta have a healthy environment for these people to live in, but.
Mr.
Wishes of
Chair,
the board. Go ahead.
I'll move request.
Motion made by Commissioner Smalls to approve request. Is there a second by Commissioner Dahl? Any more discussion?
Just a question for this. So, and I go back to the old trust and verify, you know, so here we hand over a check for $34,903. And I'm naive on this, so how do we know that $34,903 went to these communities for those windows? Who?
Can I answer?
Yeah. So,
It's kind of like in the ARPA funding, as we spend, we account for all the money through, whether
Who's
it's a
we?
plumber, our McLeod County HRA that has, we have basically appointed representatives for the board members that sit on the board. So we as a committee, when we approve the expenditure or whatever improvement, if it's an improvement to make, every receipt, every dollar is receipted and given back to wherever in the ARPA case, we had to, and I don't think this is any different or should be any different. We'll account for every dollar that it goes in. It's just my comment. The reason I was long-winded on the comment, we're using ours for repairs and maintenance and unfortunately not able to expand.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead.
I just want to note that the auditing process for the HRA is pretty similar to the county, and they do go back and pull random receipts, as you know, when they do ours. So for them, they have a lot less spending than a county, so it'd be pretty difficult for them not to spend it on what it's supposed to be and for it to not cause a major issue,
And I
because of
can-
their audit.
I can sure get you, I mean, and I'm not, it's not a dig, we have our auditing books. We've had the same auditing for a number of years. It seemed to be good. They do Candy OI as well. And, I'm glad, maybe there should be a place that we have where different commissioners or people wanna look at them, that they're available.
I just wanted,
No, that's a good question.
I
That's
just
fine.
wanna make sure that the money's going where it's supposed to and we got verification, because when you do an audit and you've taken in money and you've given it out.
Yep, yep. It's listed there for every nickel and penny, I can assure you that, but. Any more discussion or questions? I'll call the question, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thanks for your work, Jill, Liz. I was thinking of both of you because Jill is a wealth of information on this.
She is.
If you can dissect it, I mean, she covers a lot of area, but thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Public Works, see, we have John.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Item A, consider approving the estimate from Farm Right Equipment of Dassel, Minnesota for a Bobcat grader attachment at a cost of $11,896.17 with funds from the parks budget. The grader attachment will allow staff to better maintain roads and parking areas throughout our 6 county parks. A second estimate was received from Lano Equipment of Norwood, Young America, Minnesota in the amount of $13,162.14.
Wishes of the board.
I'll move request, Mr. Chair.
Motion made by Commissioner Schmalz to approve. Is there a second?
And second.
Seconded by Commissioner Wright. Do we have a grader attachment for that at this time?
We do not, no.
Okay. I have experience with it as well. It's too much money, but it works. It does what it's supposed to do. It saves us a lot, but, any other questions or discussions?
Yeah, you knew that was coming, didn't you? Question.
Go ahead.
So, help me on this one, John, because I sit and I look at this and I go, okay, you got a Bobcat You got a Bobcat?
Yep, oh yeah, sorry, yeah.
Or does Andrew have a Bobcat?
No.
There's two different places here.
We have Bobcats, yep.
There's two?
We have two.
And neither one of them has an attachment?
Not for a grader, no.
We currently grade the park roads and campsites with the county's road grader, with the highway department's road grader, which is, yeah, right.
You don't
you're
have to
talking
tell me anymore.
40-foot machine.
Doesn't fit.
A little
It
large.
doesn't fit.
Yeah.
Don't tell me anymore. The only other question I have, so we're specifying that it's going to John for his. And I look at that and I look at the grader attachment and I go, you know, there's other things out there that you can use this grader for other things, but you're telling us it's to maintain roads and parking lots. If I was looking at that, and this is just me, I'm gonna throw a monkey wrench out here for you. Sorry, John, I should have told you beforehand I was gonna do it, but there's other things that can be attached to that road grader to do grading of roads. So there's other things that can be attached. So how did you come to the conclusion of this grader attachment?
I can step in because I had a lot working with the mechanics on this. Going back a number of years, looking into, since I started with the county and grading the parking lots and the roads and the campsites was an issue with the road grader, county road grader. We sized everything for the size of the skid loader that we have, with the main intention of using it in the parks. But all of our equipment and attachments and everything are shared between parks and the highway department and everything. So we put it under the parks as ownership because that's the primary use. Everything, you know, can get used between. And same thing with the forestry head, that's under highway, that gets used at the parks. Our soil finisher, same thing, that probably gets used more at parks now than we use it, but all of that stuff, it's shared between, but we just listed under whoever's the primary user.
You got your work cut out for you, because after I saw Hanson use his machine, I've never seen a better job done.
Just following up with Commissioner Dahl, the budgets are different, so I mean, that's prudent. That's a prudent part of budgeting, is to hopefully use the money for the right places, but I have a little experience with this too. You don't want too small of a Bobcat on there, because the grader will lead you around and you won't.
Yep, and that's exactly why we sized it the size we did.
And it's soil prep, to Tom's, or to Commissioner Dahl's question, some of that, in order to get that good job, you gotta do some other prep with some other attachments, but that's.
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
This might just be a time to bring up a little bit of a side comment. We talked about sharing between departments, and I mean, it happens in the background without us necessarily knowing. I know there are times where Mr. Gillespie at Environmental Services might call up Public Works because they need a little bit of dirt or a little bit of help on a parking lot, and it happens. And that's just the expectation that kind of resonates through our departments to share resources and get some of that work done. And we don't necessarily have to document everything, but we know that our department heads are doing their job to kind of swap some of that equipment around every once in a while. So appreciate that. Things that just kind of happen that you guys work out between yourselves. So.
And just to add to that as well, these questions are good, actually. I mean, for transparency, there's a lot of times, you know, that we don't get these answers, and the questions are out there, and it leads to different things. But no, ultimately, all these expenditures over X amount of dollars come to the board anyway. So some of these may be a little boring for some, but it's good to know where they're going and how you're using your different budgets. So, any other questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Thanks.
Excuse me. Item B, consider approving change order number 1 for county project CP 026000005, the countywide culvert replacement project at a cost of $47,623.88 with funds from the highway construction budget. Failing culvert was found on County State Aid Highway 25 near 145th Street that needs immediate replacement. We currently have a contractor under contract that is replacing the culvert on County Road 62, which is about a quarter mile downstream from this culvert. The contractor will construct the culvert to the specifications and plans, along with the original contract documents. The contract price, or the change order prices, most of them are unit prices from our bid out contract, with the exception of, I believe, the mobilization, traffic control, and the culvert pipe itself, since this is I believe a 36-inch pipe, and we did not have 36 in our original bid. Those were negotiated unit prices for those items.
Mr. Chair?
Go ahead.
I drive through this spot often. Sometimes I pick up, sometimes with farm equipment, so I've seen the efforts trying to take place, and it's my understanding that there's a risk of cavitation on this one, and so it is immediate, that this needs to get taken care of. So I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion made by Commissioner Wright to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second that with just a little bit of knowledge there. I've also seen the cavitation.
Motion made and seconded to approve. Now go ahead, Commissioner Dahl, in
I've seen
discussion.
road failures because of culverts on bus routes, so yes, this is needed.
And I have no problem with it as well. But I do have a question on how did it get to be an emergency? I mean, did we miss something, or was it just put on a repair list that we didn't get to, or how?
Yeah, it was put on a repair list that we didn't get to. We have, I don't even want to guess at the number of steel culverts we have that have, you know, indications of rust on them. A member of the public brought it to our attention that they thought it had gotten worse and there was a hole, and we went out there and the bottom of the culvert's basically completely gone.
And that was the point I was trying to get to. We have many, good, bad, or indifferent. We have many, and we're trying to get to them. They're not cheap to do anymore, especially getting the road back to where we need it. That, you know, it's not just a culvert, but I get a number of calls, as you know. I usually try to talk to you about them, or Commissioner Wright about some different calls. I mean, we get calls and we try to look into them, but again, I don't know how our inventory system works and how our lists get made, but it's just something to keep an eye on. I have no problem. I mean, this is the right, especially you got lucky to have a contractor close by.
Yep. We, our inventory system, we, about every 2 to 3 years, we inventory all of our culverts, we inspect them all, and then we prioritize them. And we've been mainly prioritizing trying to get the ones ahead of our paving projects to the top of the list. That way we're not digging through the road a couple times after we have fresh pavement. And so some of these other ones kind of fall a little bit farther down the priority list, and that kind of puts us a little bit in this situation.
Any other questions or discussions for Andrew? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Item C, consider approving the proposal from Brown Intertech Corporation for pavement evaluation and cold-in-place pavement recycling mix design for County State Aid Project 043612010, the County State Aid Highway 12 CIR Rehabilitation Project for 2027, at a cost of $19,716 with funds from the highway construction budget. What this will include is Brown coming out, coring and sampling the pavement, bringing that material back to the lab and developing a mix design for the added oil or cement needed to stabilize the pavement in the cold-in-place recycling process.
Now, does the state do their own testing as well, like they do on samples sometimes, or do they use the information from Brown?
The state, I'm not sure if MnDOT does their own cold-in-place mix designs or if they use a consultant.
The reason I ask, I mean, they do test the
Yeah.
mixes when you do mix them. They have their own
Yep.
testers there.
Yeah, you need a required mix, you need a mix design to figure out what the optimum oil or cement content is to add back into that material to get the optimum strength.
But they do look at these tests and approve them before, I mean, you're not in a dark area, that it is approved before you actually go ahead with the mix then as well?
Yes, yep.
Any other questions for,
Just a quick question, Mr. Chair.
go ahead.
And Andrew, this sets the stage for how the contract is let. I'm assuming if you're talking about a road recon that we're doing next year,
Yep,
this is the work that needs to be completed upfront.
correct, yep. And this tells us basically how much oil to estimate
Yep.
or material to estimate in the plans, and tells the contractor what they have to do.
Very good, thank you.
Is there a motion been made? I got it. Okay. Wishes of the board.
So moved.
Motion made by Commissioner Dahl to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Commissioner Schmalz. Any more discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I do have a sideline question though. Is there any competition for brawn?
Yeah, there is. It gets a little murky. American Engineering and Testing is another firm that does this. But a lot of the contractors use them for QC work during construction. And so there gets to be conflict of interest by using AET sometimes. So using brawn kind of.
And the reason I
eliminates
answer
that
whether it's
conflict.
private or public, I see brawn everywhere. And I mean, I don't know, I get questions of, is there anybody else? And of course, the rumors and the phone stuff, Facebook, all that, they pick on a lot of different companies, but I just didn't know where the competition was for them anymore. If they buy out everybody that does that same work?
No,
or
it's
not.
it's a very niche industry, and there isn't a ton of, it's really specialized work, and so you need a lot of experienced, knowledgeable staff, and there just isn't a ton of that out there. And so
Very
you got companies like Braun who have kind of capitalized on that.
All right, go ahead. D.
Item D, consider approving the Minnesota Department of Transportation Local Bridge Replacement Program Grant Agreement number 1063934 and corresponding resolution. This agreement is required by the state in order for McLeod County to receive the $884,742 in grant funds for State Aid Project 043598016, the 43501 bridge replacement on County Road 57 over High Island Creek. This is for the bridge project that the board approved or awarded the construction contract to Redstone Construction at the last meeting. This grant covers 100% of the bridge structure costs.
Move to approve.
Motion made by Commissioner Wright to approve. Is there a second? I'll second this one. Discussion? Much needed?
Much needed.
Wait, and I'm scared to say much, I don't wanna jinx it, so.
Construction is planned to start on Monday, August 24th. I put out the portable message boards notifying everybody that the road's gonna be closed yesterday. So. Yep. Their notification's already up, and contractor, we have pre-con tomorrow, and so we're moving forward with it.
Any more questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item E, consider hiring Stonebrook Engineering of Burnsville, Minnesota for bridge inspection and bridge inspection training services for the County Road 57 bridge replacement project at a cost not to exceed $136,000 with funds from the highway construction budget. McLeod County has two newly certified bridge construction inspectors. These inspectors have no actual experience with bridge construction and inspecting bridges. The county will this contract will supplement our staff on the project and provide hands-on training for bridge inspection. With trained staff, we will no longer be reliant on consultant inspection services for future bridge projects, so long as staffing allows.
I have just a comment before we move on here with this. I think the concept is great, and to me, it's yoked with our earlier discussion with HR, or with Hannah's department. I mean, I think the concept is great, but I have a great fear of training somebody for someone else.
Yep.
And so it comes back to retention, or for our board to take a really good look at, do we train, or do we just keep on depending on outside services? And I mean, I've talked with Andrew about this. He did notify me a while ago already that this idea, and I think it's a great idea, but it's so hard to retain people.
Yep.
Because nothing beats, obviously you've got an outside firm helping train, but nothing beats on hand, or, firsthand information, or doing the work and learning at the same time. So nothing beats that. But that's just a point I'm bringing up to the board, so I listened to some of the other board's idea. My idea was it's yoked of the money we're trying to spend to have good people. Wishes of the board.
Mr. Chair?
Go ahead.
I think we all kind of know we have a bunch of bridges that need repair in the county, and it looks like Andrew's on track to get more in the future. So I think this is a great way to train these new people in, is with our own project, and then hopefully next year and the year after, whenever we get to those next ones, that they'll be ready to do their own, and we won't need this type of contract anymore.
Is that a motion, or was that just a comment?
That's a motion to approve.
Is there a second, or motion made by Commissioner Chaska to approve? Is there a second?
I can second that.
Seconded by Commissioner Wright. Discussion. Go ahead, Commissioner Dahl.
Yeah, you knew this one was coming. I don't disagree with you, Andrew. If you want the bridge built and inspected, it's gotta happen. What I don't understand, and this is a question for the board, is when we spend this kind of money, my assumption is, by the way, Andrew, that those two people are gonna be on site the whole time that the project, the construction, administration, and inspection people are gonna be there.
Yeah, the intent is for them to be on site.
Yeah. Intent and reality
Yeah.
change,
Yep,
right, with
yep.
the job.
We
We
might
understand
we
that.
have-
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
we have other projects going on this fall, so they might be pulled off for a day here or there, but yep.
But if you're gonna spend that kind of money, is there any retention agreement anywhere that says, hey, you spend this kind of money and you train these people, are they gonna be here a year from now? Is there any guarantee of that?
No.
Okay. I'll just,
And again, Commissioner Dahl, that's my fear as well, and I'm not liking it very well, but understanding hiring and procedures and trying to hold people to an agreement is not really, I mean, back in the day, you put them in a training program and they basically agreed to stay. I think them days are past. And that's what I just wanted. I personally am in favor of this. I think we got a good engineer, and we're not done with discussion yet, but I lean towards it being a great idea. I wish we could yoke the Highway 13 bridge in for a little bit more training, or if there's any work gonna be done on that one yet this year to expand that training. But that is the biggest concern. Again, I repeat myself, but that is the biggest concern I have is to select candidates with hope that we can retain them. And to be honest with you, in the process, I would have high regards on your picking them. I mean, it's gonna be hard to throw, I mean, there's a lot of good young people out there coming and wanna learn, but, there's more to it in my world, and by working with the public than just the job.
Correct.
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
As I read this, I mean, it's not just the training involved in this. This is the inspection services required to build a bridge, is most likely the majority of the price tag that we're looking at. And as a secondary, also helping train our staff. So I just want to clarify that dollar amount isn't all just training. This is part of the process of bridge replacement, which is a horribly expensive thing that we all have to deal with, so.
Correct. There's probably $20,000 to $30,000 worth of training services in there. The rest of that is the inspection and administration administration services. And you can't find a firm that'll just do a training services because they're essentially cutting their own throat, right? They're training their replacement. They're not gonna get the business in the future. So, in order to do some training, we had to hire for full inspection as well.
And thank you, Commissioner Wright, for pointing that out, because I had that in consideration as well, but I just wanted to highlight the retention. I keep on highlighting retention because it necessarily doesn't always mean how many. It just depends on who, you know, and at least in my world, that's the way it works. But, again, any more discussion or questions for Andrew? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Andrew, before you leave, can you give us a quick update on mill and overlay in my district?
Yep, County Road 9, we finished milling yesterday, and I believe they moved over to County Road 5, started over there. Started paving late yesterday afternoon on County Road 9, got about 750 tons put down. They're hoping to finish paving County Road 9 tomorrow and then move over to County Road 5. And they're trying to finish up by the end of the day Saturday with all the paving, and then shouldering will follow over the next week and a half.
Good, thank you, Andrew, for giving the public and us at the Commissioners' table an update on where we're at with those construction projects. Thank you.
Andrew, before, go ahead, Lori, or Commissioner
I just
Chester.
asked the same on the roundabout on 15 and 212.
Yeah, I don't have a real solid update. I know this Friday was the original completion date. I know they're behind schedule. I'm guessing it's gonna be another 2 to 3 weeks on that project.
Is that because of rain or?
I'm not really sure
Okay,
what
that's fine.
what the reason for
Just
it is. I
curious.
just know where they're at a little bit.
But the other question, do we have anything progressing on that 13 bridge? I mean, are we gonna be able to, or what can we do as a board to, are we gonna try to start some of that work this fall that, you know, that we'd have to wait for in spring, or where we are in the process?
Yep, so I am submitting plans today for final state aid review, and then it'll go on the funding list, which it should be funded. There's plenty of money there right now. And then we're also gonna be submitting later this week, the County Road 74 project. That bridge, former County Road 74 in Virgin Township. And I'm hoping to lump those two into one contract, and looking at potentially a February start on County Road 13, get all the work done in the waterway before the March 15th fisheries exclusion, and then have that one opened up beginning of June, and then start on County Road 74 after that.
And that was the part I was worried about, was that fisheries exclusion, because that'd give us, if we could get that done before spring, that gives us quite a jump on the project for next year.
Correct. We can't work in the water basically from March 15th to June 15th for fish hatching exclusion, so.
And the bridge in Virgin does not have that issue, does it?
The way things would time out, they would time out in an ideal schedule that you'd finish 13, beginning of June, have a couple week gap, and then start.
But do they have that same fisheries?
Yep.
Is that in all waterways?
It's any natural stream in Minnesota, in the Mississippi watershed. If you get into the Missouri watershed, which is in far southwest Minnesota, it's actually March 15th through August 15th.
Holy cow. All right. County administration, I guess I'll start with our calendars. Since the last meeting, we had our workshop after the last meeting, and I also had a budget, I'll call it a review, after that as well, looking at where our budgets are going. Also, we had a facilities, what's the right word? We looked, had a facilities progress construction at the courthouse. also had a drainage work group on the 13th. Again, there's some things, we had a presentation from Ricky Noonan's office on some verbiage in some new rules for drainage rules. I attended, that same evening, I attended the Glencoe City public hearing on the motel that they have intentions of, or are trying to look into building west of the community center of the city hall. There's a lot of questions there. It did not pass the planning and zoning committee, so we'll see where they go there. I think mainly because there's just a lot of unanswered questions. I'll leave it at that. I had an agenda review on the 14th, and last night I also went to the kind of the last fair meeting before the fair starts. There's a lot of excitement there. Some of them people, my commentary, some of them people have been around a long time and got a lot more energy than I have, and they're working hard to make it work, and that's really a good thing. So that brings us to today. Go ahead, Commissioner Wright.
Yep. After our last workshop, and Commissioner Kruger brought up our budget meeting we had, is we'll start a process of meeting with some of our departments to set that up as we look for September to be our time period to set our preliminary levy for the year. 8/14 Canvas Board met. Of course, everything checked out perfectly. Auditor Treasurer's Office did a fantastic job. Heard from one of our election judges in my district afterwards to just compliment how awesome of a work that our AT office does with the elections. They're very, very impressed all the way through that. So, and that pretty well wraps it up for me. We'll see everybody at the county fair.
Commissioner Dahl?
Yeah, I attended the workshop on the 4th, and then I sat in on an internal meeting on the 6th, and then I reviewed the courthouse again with Joe and went over some things, got briefed on some things there. Just a reminder, Mr. Kruger and I are invited to the Minnesota McLeod Township Association, and they've given us a list of many questions they want answered, so I don't know how we want to approach that as a team, but we need to sit down and figure that out. I only saw Doug and myself on the invite, and they put a bunch of questions to us. So, and some of those questions we're gonna have to get from our sheriff department or Ryan or.
I did talk to him already and on that, and there's some rearranging on some of them questions. What is one? I can't think of it right now. One they're gonna pull because it's a merry-go-round question. It'll take too long to to make any. They wanna hold the time down, and I think that you and I or the administrator as a board try to, we may need a department head to come with to answer some of the quick questions, because they're not up to us, and normally I'm used to the whole board being invited, but nevertheless, we'll get through it.
Well, you got 6 questions in 30 minutes, so.
Yeah, but I've heard that story before, but no, that's fine. It's an important enough meeting with the townships to see where they're going, and some of I just know they're gonna put out another email, and maybe that'll go to all of the different subject matter.
I could understand why they picked on you. I couldn't understand why they picked on you.
They're not picking on us, really. That's a natural event. We're up for election, I guess. Go ahead, Commissioner Small.
Thank you, Commissioner Dahl, for your report. Like the other commissioners have stated, August 4th, after our last board meeting, we held a workshop here at the Government Center. On Wednesday the 5th, I had a Community Health Advisory Team meeting. This group now will be meeting every month, the first Wednesday of the month here at our Government Center. We make recommendation to our CHB as far as programming and assessing the needs of our community. On Thursday the 6th, Prime West held our Joint Powers Board meeting in Alexandria. it was a full agenda for that meeting because we did not meet in July. We took that month off due to 4th of July holiday being close to our meeting date. So one of the things that I'll highlight in that particular meeting was we had an extensive discussion about an ask that was given to us, which relates to training and mental health. I think the real benefactor of the ask will be our Southwest 18 organization and how services are delivered. But it was a large ask, and there is some grant money available with what was being offered. There was a match of money that was asked of Prime West to contribute, and it was sizable. It was like $600,000 or more. So we had a robust discussion on whether Prime West should contribute to the ask. I will say that Tina Shank from Meeker County was part of the team that did the presentation. They laid out the priorities on the ask. Matt, our new executive director, was very engaged in the process and fully supportive of the ask. The ask is something that we thought our member counties couldn't absorb individually, but with 24 member counties, owning Prime West and being part of it, and also knowing that Prime West is always looking for opportunities to reinvest dollars back into our county. I think that's why there was a favorable position presented on the ask. So in the end, we had 100% support from the member counties on that ask. So that was good news, and it should be a positive effect on the counties, especially the Southwest 18. And then this past week, on Wednesday the 12th, PACT had what they called their full collaborative meeting. And I attended that by Zoom because it's not necessarily a joint powers board gathering, but it's definitely an informational meeting where the teams, where our mental health professionals get together and look at programs and programming and how can it affect the 5 member counties of our PACT. On Thursday the 13th, we had our Community Health Board Joint Powers Board meeting right here in Glencoe Government Center. I guess I'll say it was business as usual for that meeting. We are going through a process with a consultant, kind of taking a look at ourselves and whether our bylaws and our agreements are up to date. So we're still working through that process in a workshop version, and reports are received then at our Joint Powers Board level, like that meeting was expressed on the 13th. And then, as Commissioner Wright mentioned, we did have our Canvas Board meeting here on Friday to go over the election results, and I wanted to thank staff, especially those involved with elections right here in the Government Center, and also those cities and townships who have to host an election. That's my report, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Cheska?
Yeah, so my meeting schedule the last couple of weeks had been late, which is good because there were quite a few other items that needed to have attention during that time. So the one that I had was the CHB here last Thursday with Nathan. Again, it pretty much business as usual. There were a couple different groups that came in that day and did little presentations. They're funded through the CHB, so it was kind of fun to see the different groups. One of them was hiding in plain sight, different things about that to inform parents on potential drug use and different things like that. So that was extremely enlightening. The things that we were showed was like blew my mind. And then we had a couple other people in there to just give little updates on their projects that they're working on with that. But other than that, I will be at the fair this week too in different capacities, but that's all I have.
It's not a county issue, but could you just, I asked you about it a little earlier about your trees, and I mean, it's been in the news.
Yep.
And you're the only McLeod County city that I seen that was awarded. In fact, there wasn't, in the scheme of things, there wasn't a lot of towns, but you were awarded or supposedly awarded some money to plant trees.
Yep, so the city of Brownton was awarded $192,000 to remove oak tree, or ash trees that are on either city boulevards or city-owned properties. So we worked with our engineering firm, identified the trees that would be removed, and then we have some woodland areas that qualify for a 5-to-1 match on 5 removals, 1 replant. So we're in the process of going through the bids and revising things a little bit. All the bids came in a little bit above what we had anticipated, so we're just going through that right now, and we'll have the final approval of the contractor in September. We can't start anything until October 1st because that's when the flying season of the emerald ash borer ends. But just a shout out to the county extension, Paul put me in contact with them, because in the beginning, I'm like, well, I don't know anything about trees, I don't know what to plant. We were given a couple trees that we couldn't plant because of our canopy diversity that's needed, so we couldn't plant any maple trees, we couldn't plant any conifer trees, and there was one other one, apple trees, I think. So I started out with the extension and slowly made my way then to Soil and Water here at the county. The extension gave me some names of people in the different counties that could help, and so it actually went through many different avenues to try and get information on how to move forward on this. There's 2 different grants that we applied for last year, and the only one that I could find was Oak Park Heights down by Rochester, I think is the name. And contacted them too, and they gave me a bunch of information, but yeah, I haven't heard of anybody local that's gotten too much. Maybe Gibbon got a different grant, a relief grant, I think is what it's called, but other than that, I haven't seen anybody else, so.
I think Brown County, or there was 1 or 2 as well, but there was, so it's not quite as easy as the way they show it on TV, it's just not out there all through, they're
Nope.
showing it pretty easy. And I know the canopy and the energy savings from the shade, I mean, that was one part of their theory. But I just wanted you to, get a chance to shout that out. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you.
Lori, can I just ask you, how long did that take you from roughly the beginning to where you got the grant? How much time?
We had to have the grant applications in last fall.
Okay.
End of October, I think, middle to end of October. There was 2 of them we did, the community tree planting and then the relief. So we applied for both of those by the end of October, and I think we found out, well, I had some questions in December. The state DNR was asking some questions, and how I had to clarify, and I had to do this, and I think by February or March we found out.
Okay.
And then signed the contract in April or May.
Good
So
for you.
it's a process.
Yeah, good for you.
Oh,
Yeah, and
good.
it's
I
not
hope
just
it
pulling
works
or
out as
taking
well.
the trees
Stay
out
with
and
it,
planting them.
yeah.
There's rules and regulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Attorney Hench is at a family funeral today, so he's not here. Just a last comment from me earlier, and it's about the 3rd time I did it. I said past life. After 12 years, it seems like a past life. I didn't mean to say, I'm not a cat, I don't have 7 lives. Some days I think so, but at any rate, it was a slip of the tongue, and Commissioner, and there'll probably be more of them, so it is what it is. Commissioner Wright highlighted in his calendar report too of our budget. We're working really hard. I mean, just some of our discussions today, I've talked to other counties on different things, and I'm hearing, just maintaining status quo, I hate to use that word either, but just to maintain some of these levy estimations are a little higher than I'd like to see them. I mean, even some of our neighboring smaller counties. So I just, for some of my harder questions, that's a serious consideration for me, because everything, you start spending 10,000 here and 20 there and 30 there, pretty soon you're talking real money, and it just is that way, and that's the way I guess I kind of roll. So it's always going to be a concern, and I'll be watching that as best I can. With that, I'll turn it over to our administrator.
Thank
Sheila.
you. Item A, consider approving the application for the Safe and Secure Grant, and we have Karen Messner, the court administrator. We have Jill Morgan, our facilities manager, Casey Stotts, our emergency management director, here to help us present on that, to give you the information needed to make a decision on whether or not we apply. And also the sheriff is here if there are additional questions.
Good morning.
Good morning, commissioners. I'll give you a little background on these safe and secure grants. I think they've been around for about approximately 10 years. I don't remember the specific year when they started this program, but the judicial branch went to the legislature and asked for $1 million in funding for safe and secure grants where counties could apply to improve security features. And so we applied the very first year it was offered, and McLeod County has always received some fundings for this. This last year again, and again, it hasn't happened every year that this has been approved by the legislature, but this last year again, they went and asked for $1 million, and lo and behold, the legislature came back and gave us $4 million worth in grants. Which was a surprise to the judicial branch. However, with the number of increased threats that the judiciary has received over the last couple of years, I would say, we've seen significant incidents reported. And you would think it's mostly in the metro, but from what I know, a lot of it's coming from greater Minnesota as well. So that kind of gives you a little background on how these grant funding monies were established. But basically, the guidelines for this are the application cannot be submitted by the branch, so not necessarily from the courts. The application must be authorized by a county board, and there is a 50% financial or in-kind match to the amount requested. An in-kind match from the county means that time and or services of current or new employees, building structures, any land that might be involved, equipment, materials, space, or supplies provided to the project. So that's all considered in kind. The project must represent a new investment or the upgrade or replacement of existing security infrastructure. So we've been talking and we've come up with some items that we want to consider.
Yeah, the first item to consider is additional reserved parking signs. This would be in the front area of the courthouse parking there. Additional cameras to cover necessary areas and also some upgrades. Alarm outputs for keyed doors. Additional access badge readers. Fire suppression for server rooms. Updated x-ray machine. Casey may speak to this a little bit. And some window tinting of court windows to allow exterior views from the inside, but not outside to the inside.
Mr. Chair, I just want to add real quick that you do have the listing of those projects in front of you. We do not have quotes on all of those projects and wouldn't obtain them until we have approval to apply for them.
So with the
with the x-ray machine that we currently have at the courthouse for our security. The issue that we had with that is that originally when we purchased that, it was about a $15,000 purchase. To replace that today is about $32,000, so the price has gone up quite considerably. That also has ongoing maintenance issues that we need to work with. The company that we had purchased this through, they charge us not only an annual fee to come in and do the maintenance on it, but then also all their travel expenses. So that ends up being over $6,000, almost to $7,000 every year just to have them come in and do that. So with the initial cost of $15,000, having them come in on a 3-year basis, we've actually paid for a new machine. And I would like to see if we can, when we replace this one, look for a company that's going to be local so that the majority of the costs that we're paying for are travel costs. I think the cost to have them come in is about $1,600, and then once they start adding all their travel fees in there, it bounces it up quite a bit. So I want to get someone local, so in case we do have an issue, we can contact them, and then we can get somebody in within a short amount of time to actually fix the machine without having to wait for them to come from a coast somewhere.
Do we have vendors that do that locally?
We do. And then also, we're fortunate enough to work with some of the other sheriff's offices in the state where they have replaced their units with people that are been vetted and proven. So that's very important for us as we're looking for replacement.
Over the years that it's been used, is the configuration of how it's used acceptable? I mean, we've all came through there. Is there a better way to, is there a better and more safe way to go through the process, for lack of a better word?
I think the way we've got it set up right now is pretty efficient.
Okay. Any other questions from the board?
Just looking at it,
Your mic, please.
just looking at it from the outside, I'm not gonna say no, because I haven't made a decision on that way, but it would have been nice to have kind of the priority of what you're thinking is first. I don't think tinting a window or putting up a no parking or reserved sign, you know what I'm saying? Where's
I'll comment on that, Commissioner.
Go ahead.
There's a reason that those are all included is because a lot was dismissed and taken out.
With what?
The majority of things that we could do are not on here.
Okay.
And they're dismissed. This is the priority. The window tint actually is pretty important. It helps when you have somebody who's agitated walking up to a window and they can see 10 people. It even helps calm it down a little bit if they can see less of that and it's a little bit darker, but the staff can still see outside, or it can provide safety. This kind of tint would be actually mirrored tint where they can't see inside. There are some safety and privacy concerns that are occurring. I'm not gonna go over them today in the meeting, but this would help increase the safety and security of that office alone and also of other court areas throughout the building where you can walk up to some rooms and you can just see in and there's no sense of privacy and it just creates a lack of protection when you can see in those rooms. We've dealt with safety and security items in this room that we had to do some fixing on throughout the years. The reserved parking signs, we already have them. We don't have enough of them and we had them painted on the pavement. It's Minnesota. That doesn't help. We knew that when it happened. That isn't what we wanted. That is what happened. And we'd be putting signs in with our highway department, so that would be in-kind services. The fire suppression for the server rooms, again, safety, because if there were a fire in those server rooms, which the courts have one there, so does IT, they'd lose everything. And if you see the additional alarm outputs, if our systems went down at the courthouse, everything goes down at the courthouse. All of the departments, so not just the sheriff's office and the county departments, but also the state departments that are housed in that building, probation and courts, the additional access badge readers. So these all have a pretty similar priority, and that's why they're all listed for you.
Okay, so.
It doesn't mean that they would all be approved by the courts, so.
Correct, I understand that.
Yeah.
So, see if I can't word this a little bit differently. We have to do a 50% match. However, we come up with that. okay? I understand it doesn't have to be dollars, you know, but I have no concept right now, if you're talking about $10 million or 100,000, I have no concept.
That's why I put the detail on the sheet that's in front of you, and I'm gonna go over it during my request for the motion. I'm gonna go over it word for word, so you shouldn't actually need it, but I will note this. This seems like a rush, and that's because it is, because the legislature handed the $4 million down, then the judicial district, or Minnesota judicial, I can't talk today, you know what it, thank you. They needed time to figure out how they were going to make the dollars allocated and what the requirements would be. Of course, they needed a little time of that, because when you push an application process out to counties, you're asking for what you need back from them. So we only have until September 8th to apply, because the judicial branch wanted it to follow county budgeting process timelines. So they tried to match it to that. And that's where it comes in with, I don't know the due date for the projects, but that is part of the approval process, where they would tell us when we have to have things done. It sounds like we will find out if we were to receive funding by November. The reason we include different types of priority projects is because we have a need for these projects that are listed anyways at the county, and they serve both the courts and the county's safety and security, and they meet the grants. But we don't know of these, what they would approve. So these costs would come to the county regardless, without any contribution. So they are things that the board can ask for, because you are going to likely be spending money on them anyhow. And then I will ask you for the vote with the specific verbiage when you're ready, but we are asking for it not to exceed $125,000 total.
That was the number I was waiting for. Is that a number that you guys have discussed, or is that the first time you're hearing that?
No, it's a
Yeah,
number I've heard of.
yeah, we've discussed it.
I want to go back to the x-ray machine. How many years old did you say that is?
The one that we have right now,
Yeah,
it's about 8 years old right now.
and not that that's old anymore, but in the scheme of things, that's old.
Yes, it gets a lot of use.
Yeah, well, I mean, the technology as well.
If I may, in regards to like the cameras, adding more of those, not just for the individuals, you know, the employees and everybody coming in, but we have a lot of jurors that come into our facility on a monthly basis, your constituents that come in, and some of this is also for their protection, to see if somebody's out in that parking lot, that law enforcement can monitor that as well.
Are
You know,
these
additional
cameras gonna be
cameras.
smart enough to identify people if they're, that's a serious question. I mean, is there, I mean,
These are not
I know there's
facial recognition or
cameras
anything, they're,
anymore that, cause otherwise they have to be, you have to catch it on the monitor. I mean, otherwise it doesn't, you know, if you miss it.
yeah, we'll be able to.
No, that's
you
not
know,
true. We have video recording. We don't have to catch
No,
it on the
but I mean,
monitor.
for a warning of any danger, you would have to catch it.
Absolutely, sure, but we do recall video
Yeah.
often when a situation arises. It is useful beyond just being seen.
The cameras will allow a better picture, a better image, right? So in some areas, we don't have, you know, you can see, but you can't get in there and really see well, so.
We have definite areas of opportunity for increased camera coverage. And I don't want to go over that specifically, obviously,
Yeah.
for safety. But we do need to make some changes and improvements regardless.
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, Commissioner Wright.
So it's my understanding that this list started a little more, started bigger, you have it whittled down to these items, and in my opinion, I mean, they look like just next steps that we need to be doing anyways. And as indicated, if there's a grant available, why not at least try? And so I'm seeing, you know, cameras, additional alarms, fire suppression for server rooms, updates to an x-ray machine. This sounds like we need it done. These are not above and beyond what we should be looking at anyways. So I see no reason to, you know, not support the idea of moving forward with the grant application at this point, so.
Any other discussion?
It's just a grant application, it's not that we're approving everything or anything, it's just to approve going forward with the application.
With these items, Yep, the details, yeah.
Mr. Chair, can I read the specific ask for the board as updated because of timing? I have more detail for you and then you can,
One last question, but when we do apply with specific asks, that's what, if then we get it, we'll be expected to do those, it's not just carte blanche money, you have to do what you just said to do. Okay, just clarification, that's fine.
and that's in this as well, so I'm gonna go ahead and just read this. We're requesting approval to complete the application for the Safe and Secure grant funding from the Minnesota Judicial Branch from an allocation of $4 million from the 2026 State of Minnesota Legislative Allotment to be allocated for qualified and approved projects for Minnesota counties. The application must be completed by the county. We're requesting approval for the county administrator and the county board chair to complete the application and letter of support by requesting matching funds not to exceed $125,000 for the projects listed above, with applications being due September 8th, 2026. The note would be that the county board will have another opportunity for input, not for change, but for input, and review of the funds if they are allocated to McLeod County, if and when the Minnesota Judicial Branch awards McLeod County funds. Said funds would need to be voted for approval of acceptance, just like any other time we get money, by the McLeod County Board of Commissioners. If they're received, they'll be deposited to courthouse facility expense accounts and put out for payment from those same accounts. The reason I say that the board would have input is because let's say that they go, here is $20,000, obviously that wouldn't cover all of this list of projects. And if they say, you go ahead and figure out what your priority is at that point, then the county board would work with this same group of people in order to figure out what that money would be spent on if it's less than what's needed. So that's what we need a vote on that, please. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, at this point, are we just looking for a singular motion to support the grant application? Okay, I'll make that a motion.
I'll second that.
Motion made by Commissioner Wright and seconded by Commissioner Dahl to approve making the application. Is there any more discussion or questions? Hearing
Mr.
none,
Chair, I'm very sorry. The only thing I would ask that could be added if it needs to be, is that the letter of support can come from yourself and myself. Does that need to be added in here or not with the application? I know it needs to be included.
It isn't,
but
I mean, it
I'm
says
asking
it
if
in-
they need to approve it.
Just a question, I know in the past, we've received letters of support from the county, the sheriff's department on these, and the judges. So if you want those as well to accompany it, just let me know, because I could get them from the judges and then whatever law enforcement needs.
We discussed that yesterday, and I would like if you would proceed with that if they approve this, because all I need from them is I can't write a letter of support without their approval. Thank
We
you.
can just very simply add to the motion that, to plea with the application along with, letters of support then within the motion, if that's what we're looking for.
Is that all right with the
Thank you.
second?
I would
Okay.
second that addendum.
Rather than back up and re-motion it, I'm gonna
Sounds easier.
accept that as the motion. Any discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your time. Item B, notification of board workshop following the board meeting on Tuesday, September 1st, 2026 at is that accurate? September 8th, correct? Sorry, one moment.
First.
It is, okay, thank you. I just wanted to make sure. I had the 8th in my head.
Are we all
Okay.
sure now? Cause otherwise I'll check.
Yeah, I just opened the calendar, because it threw me off. Following the board meeting on Tuesday, September 1st, 2026, at the McLeod County Government Center, 520 Chandler Avenue North, Glencoe, Minnesota. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other business that needs to come before the board for the good of McLeod County? Hearing none, open forum. Anybody here wishing to address the board? Press relations. Any questions? Thank you. So I'll be looking for a motion to recess till our next county board meeting at 9 a.m. on Tuesday, September 1st, 2026, at the McLeod County Government Center, 520 Chandler Avenue North, Glencoe, Minnesota.
So move.
Motion made by Commissioner Dahl. Is there a second? Seconded by Commissioner Chaska. Discussion? We are recessed.